Here we go. Get ready to have a good time. This is exciting, isn't it?
All right, we're on. Hello, testing.
Welcome aboard the Dreamliner.
It's the only way to fly.
Listen, we need something that will play to your strengths of loving the sound of your own voice and talking forever. Podcasts.
Podcaster Garry Meier?
Gary.
Here's a young speaker who is really in demand.
Don't let that go to your head, Gary.
But wait, there's more.
See, I'm the guy.
He's Gary Meier.
Welcome to the Garry MeierShow Cocktail Hour Live. This is the special After Dark edition, September 10th, 2021. This week we're wheels up at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, but usually
we go wheels up and start live streaming on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, 4 Mountain, 3 Pacific, and so forth. Gary serves up yappetizers and other assorted nonsense. Leslie Kyling shares batches of news and provides commentary throughout the show, too. You bring your own beverages or whatnot, and you'll meet more folks along the way. We've been on the GarrForce Live YouTube channel and the Garry Meier Show Facebook page for more than a year now, and you can catch replays of this episode and all our past live shows in both those places.
thanks Todd Pickering, and even though it's later than usual, or maybe because it's later than usual, no matter where you are, it's time for a digital mimosa. Gary podcasts 5 days a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are complimentary. Tuesdays and Thursdays are available to premium subscribers. Check out GarryMeier.com for more information or download his app in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Comments are welcome on all of our live streaming channels, and as always, you can text us at 773-888-2157. Regular charges apply. Now,
Cocktails, woo, drinks.
fasten your seatbelts. It's time to go wheels up on the GarrForce Live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the cocktail show. Let's kick the tires and light the fires. What do you say there? We're good to go. Wheels up. Yeah, we're clean. This is later than usual, this week only, although I'm getting some people in the texting area that are saying, make this the permanent time. This is better. I don't know. We'll take a look at how people respond and decide if this is the way to go on a Friday. And now we're already in dark. It's dark, and that's a good reason to drink, like we need a reason. Let me, first of all, take a look through the screen door that Tracy sent me. Tracy from, look at the streaming schnauzer is live. We fetch on all fours. Tracy from Wisconsin, from Racine, sent me a screen door to make summer last all year long. And I see Gabriella, Barbara from Arizona, Doug. People are going, wow, this is too late. I'm almost ready for bed. Come on. And Stephen from Palos Park, Illinois, Matt, the trivia guy, Scott, Johnny from Michigan, and Martin from British Columbia, Patty, Henry, Donna, Susan. They're all out there. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have a good time because we have to. It's incumbent on us to have a good time by the end of the week. Otherwise, why are we living? What's the point of all this? As I've said, I think it's all a frickin' joke. I think this whole existence is pretty much a joke. It's a prank by the Supreme Being. And if you're looking for meaning, don't come here because I don't have any. Yeah, I got the googly eyes. I got my Manhattan. That's all that I want to do is have a good time. And that's pretty much been my whole life. I wake up every day and go, you know what I want to do? I want to have a good time. Leslie is going to remove the wine condom so we can start this officially. Hello, Leslie.
Hi, everybody. I got me an Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc, and here we go, kids. Oh, we got, actually, I don't know if you can see, but we've built up some pressure here.
Oh, Papa. Wow. Oh, Andy.
Cheers.
Hello, Andy. Oh, Andy, that was a good pop, Andy.
It was.
Thank you, Andy. I don't know about you, Leslie. I think I do. at 6 Eastern, I was white knuckling already because I was ready to go and I had a few hours to wait to go. And I'd have to adjust if we did this permanently because the whole day is built in my head around getting to this moment. And I distract myself to do things to get to this moment, meaning weed whacking, or I ran Flynn around the backyard. We tossed the toy around and that kind of stuff. But I'm just thinking, okay, in a few hours, I'm going to have a cocktail. Is that wrong?
And we're creatures of habit. So our little body clocks are going, oh, wait a minute. It's Friday. You guys should be started
drinking
already.
Yes. And now that it's dark, and this is a real harbinger of things to come as the fall winter season approaches, another great excuse to drink. And I thank everybody for joining the program, Dee and Cindy and all of you that have checked in on the text there. And Keely Ann, who is usually the first one to check in, now she's emailing me earlier in the week and sending me pictures of her schnauzer. And I don't know if Ellen had a chance to rack up she says this is a stuffed schnauzer. I don't know if her dog died and she stuffed it or if that dog is alive, but that's what she said. She says it's a stuffed schnauzer.
Well, as she points out, I'm dating a taxidermist. He wants to stuff my schnauzer.
Okay, well, that's what they do. Yes, they're programmed to do that. So I don't know if that's a dead dog or a live dog, but she sent that. That's Keely Ann. If you're new to the program, Keely Ann usually checks in with a schnauzer update every week, and we appreciate that.
Not to be a downer, but we're Flynn to... Well, and let's face it, at some point we all pass on.
What?
Could you imagine having him stuffed and sitting in the corner of your living room?
I don't think so. That would be too weird. And I know people do this because they can't let go, but I can't.
Photos. Take some photos and
So here's what's going to happen. I was going to have David Hochberg on the show today because he's great at talking about mortgages and refis and all that stuff that he's very good at. But then he texted me a few hours ago and said, I'm not feeling well. Can I do next Friday? I said, fine. So David will be on next Friday, and he has great information if you're getting ready to buy a home or want to refi or all the other things he does. Check your credit to see what your loan would be. There he is, that handsome man. So that's next Friday. And while I was immersed in 9/11 20th anniversary stuff, Leslie and a friend of hers were in Milwaukee, and Ryan is our Wisconsin reporter, and he's going to report on whatever he can report on. But Leslie made a trek to Milwaukee for Summerfest, and you just got back today. You went last night to see whom?
Well, we went yesterday early so that we could really get into the whole Wisconsin vibe. So my friend Krista and I, well, God love her, she's the one who took us up there, and we got to see all sorts of acts, but we were primarily there to see Chris Stapleton. And oh my God, he delivered. It was an amazing concert, and it was freaking packed. And being that it was Wisconsin, they don't have mask mandates. They did, however, check us for vaccinations as we arrived. And they actually looked at the vaccination cards, unlike other venues that I've seen. So, once we were in there, it was just a really like happy-go-lucky crowd. Everybody was polite. It was so much fun. Sheryl Crow was his opener. I'm thinking, Sheryl Crow's opening for Chris Stapleton? That doesn't, in my head at first, I was thinking it should be the other way around. Until Chris Stapleton took the stage. Okay, so this is
Summerfest.
On my vacation. This is when we arrived at Summerfest.
This is the entrance.
And it announces that Chris Stapleton's going to be there. And then we did the most death-defying thing ever. And we rode their sky glider. I don't know what the frack we were thinking because both of us are afraid of heights. Oh. And it didn't seem so high when we were looking up at it until we were on it. And then both of us just white-knuckled our way across the venue. But it was cool. And it was a good time. I suggest everyone go there.
Chris, there's a Summerfest store. Are these pictures you took?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And what do they sell in the Summerfest store?
like clothes and
Yeah, I know. Is
collectibles
it
and
Chris Stapleton Sheryl Crow
not
stuff?
exclusively. No, it's Summerfest stuff. Okay, so here's the funny thing that we noticed. There's a lot of hippie gear being sold, i.e., dream catchers, tie-dye dresses, like paintings of Elvis and rock stars and Prince and things like that. It really had kind of I don't know how else to say it, kind of a hippie feel going.
Okay.
Like license plate art and beaded bracelets and things like that.
Oh,
But
okay.
it was chill.
Summerfest has been going on for, I believe, over 50 years now, and Milwaukee
At
gets
least
this
30, yeah.
absolutely right. Oh, it's 50. I think it started in the late 60s.
Oh my God, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. I know
Oh, I'm
when
that
you
old.
start. Yeah, I know. Time is ugly sometimes when you start to think, oh, how many years ago was that? It's 50 plus years. But they've been doing it. They get the A talent every year, and I've been there several times, and they just keep on doing it right. And I don't know.
it's
Last year they
clean
didn't
and
have it
yeah.
right. It was off last year because of COVID.
I think so. And they changed it. Okay, so here's the other thing. We were at this one stage, and it points out that Summerfest takes place. What does this say? On Lake Michigan, the largest lake in the United States.
And
Is
that's
that
wrong,
true?
right?
Isn't it Superior? Hence
It's
the name.
it's the largest lake entirely within the United States, because the other Great Lakes border Canada, and the other lakes in the country aren't as big as Lake Michigan. So that's the statistic that's quoting. You're welcome. See, there's the
Thank
college
you.
credit for the week.
By the way, the reason we're starting later is because, Alan, what were you doing today where you had to start later?
The charity Give Kids the World Village invited me to an expo over at Disney's Contemporary Resort. So I was listening to a bunch of Disney speakers. And when I wasn't doing that, I was next door to the Contemporary Resort playing in the Magic Kingdom, taking a look at the bling that they've added to the castle for the 50th anniversary, which is October 1st. Taking a look at the Halloween decor, which I hadn't seen since 2019 because I didn't go last summer, because at this time of the year it's god awful hot. Taking a look at the new golden statues that they're installing for the 50th anniversary. We got a golden Mickey and a golden Minnie. I saw some golden Pooh and Piglet.
I love the way you say that. I saw some.
I said it that way just for you, Gary.
Golden
And of course,
Pooh.
The
long
train
as there are no
station,
golden calves.
the
'cause
train
that would
station
be-
out front. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if they've done. There's a famous cow that is part of Disney cartoonage, and I'm not sure Clarabelle Cow. I'm not sure if they've made a golden one of her or not.
50 years. Again, here's the time thing. That opened 50 years ago, half a century ago.
Well, and I went to Disneyland's 50th celebration, which, I mean, Disney celebrates everything. I'll turn my camera on if I'm going to talk with my hands, right? Disney celebrates everything for more than just a day, right? So October 1st is the actual anniversary. The celebration at Disney World is going on for 18 months. Disneyland did something similar. Disneyland opened in 55. I feel like I was at Disneyland's 50th not that long ago. It was 2005. So that's just another one of those time warp things.
Yeah. I remember a girl I was dating, dropping her off at the airport. She was flying down to go to Disney World, the opening 1971, and went on a 747, which no longer exists for the most part and all that. But I'm going down memory lane because while Leslie and Krista were enjoying Chris Stapleton, and I don't know if this is an apt analogy with Chris Stapleton. I was a huge Marshall Tucker fan in the 70s, speaking of the 70s. And I equate Stapleton to Marshall Tucker. I don't know if I'm off, but that's what I'm thinking. And I loved Marshall Tucker and I loved Chris Stapleton.
Well, and so I didn't realize that you were a fan. I thought you were like more going the Sheryl Crow route.
No. I loved Chris Stapleton. As soon as I saw him, I went, wow.
Oh my God.
That's what it reminded me of, the Marshall Tucker band, which I loved.
And that's my friend Krista is not exactly what you would call a country fan, but she said, this is different. This is entirely different.
Yeah.
And while he is definitely a country artist to some degree, like Marshall Tucker. There's that crossover. And honestly, if you appreciate just a beautiful voice, his wife is up there on stage with him doing the harmonies, and the two of them just have like this energy and the perfect sound. And then there's like a rock blues. I don't know how else
it's
to
all
explain
going
it.
on.
He crosses all those genres.
And what kind of food did you eat?
Shitty carnival food.
Shitty carnival food is a great clown name, by the way.
Okay. I started off good. I did like just a turkey sub. I was going to do that.
Yeah.
And we went to the children's stage because I heard that the Red Hot Chili Puppets were going to be performing. And
Okay.
we only caught part of the Red Hot Chili Puppets. But then later in the day, I ended up with, oh God, these like just, what was it? It was pork loaded fries with cheese and sour cream and
That's what you
everything.
got to do. You're in
so
Wisconsin. Alan put up a McRib. Come on, that's nothing. You wash everything you ate down with a McRib.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, and you're walking like miles just because you're strolling this way, strolling that way. So no calories count when you're at a place like that.
No. How was Sheryl Crow?
She was good.
Yeah.
She was, yeah. And, I was thinking, this is what has got to be so much fun about being a stage performer, because she's wearing like a jersey, a sports jersey, and tight jeans and high heels. And I'm thinking, bitch, if you wore that on the street, everybody'd call you trash. But when she's up on stage, everybody's like, ooh, she's awesome.
And that's what Leslie yelled out while she's performing. Bitch, if you wear that out, you're
That's
trash.
Not style. What's wrong with you?
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's
So
still belting it.
It was packed, right?
Crazy
Yeah.
packed.
Now this usually happens deeper in the summer. They moved it because of COVID, right?
And it's a Thursday. Yeah. So this is later than they would normally hold it. And it's like a weekday performance. And damn, this place was like filled to the gills. And yet you're outside, so you don't feel claustrophobic. Of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but for all practical purposes, these people have been vaccinated, so it was all good.
Now, if you're a regular listener to the show, and I assume you are at this point, you know that Leslie and I are very anal retentive, and she stayed overnight with Krista at a hotel. She won't name the hotel, but
no,
she was telling me about the hotel before we went on here, and some of the things that both of us would notice right away when we walk in are problematic. And you have photos of one of the things, right?
Well, do you want me to show the photo of the curtains?
Or you could send it to me, Leslie, and I can put it into the show.
Yeah, let me send it to Alan, because that would probably be better than you being able to see all the thumbnails at the bottom. But
if something's off,
it's that little stuff.
Yeah, it is the little stuff. And you think, if they don't get the little stuff, what's also happening that I don't want to know?
The caulk at the corner of the tub. The fact that the exhaust fan in the bathroom didn't have a cover on it. So you're looking at the mechanics.
No.
Like carpets that aren't 100% clean. And on top of that.
There it is. Tell us what we're looking at here.
It's the curtains. And that one curtain rod the pull is missing. And I worked on that, and I tried to fix that curtain every which way. And I stared at it, and I stared.
Okay. Yeah, if you can't get that right, and then the exhaust fan doesn't have a cover.
And no continental breakfasts anymore because of the COVID. The pool is closed because of the COVID. And, I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah. You can close some things, but you're using this, and I'm speaking for the hotel, as a smoke screen, so you don't have to spend any money, is what they're doing.
And more than anything, that's the way it feels these days.
See,
we'll do half staff.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have the staff. Okay, that's not my problem. But I paid for a continental breakfast. I want it. And those are the things you usually see at airports or at hotels near the airport. Because they don't, they're very one night and out. They don't have a long staying clientele. And that's what you see and I've been there where I stayed at a hotel near an airport and there were boogers on the ceiling. But I had to stay there because the flight was canceled. I had to get out the next day early. But that's last resort stuff. Now, you stayed there because it was close to
DNA testing to make sure that those were actually.
I don't know.
Once again, these are the kind of places where you don't bring the black light in. I think that would be a huge mistake.
No.
Black light in.
But we've all had hotel issues. I'll never forget the time was in San Diego and go to sleep and I hear something and I turn on the nightstand light and there's a giant cockroach on the end table. And you're in foliage.
You heard it. Wait, you heard it.
Yeah, that's why I turned the light on. So I got my shoe and I hit it and it completely exploded all over the place. So I had to go sleep on the couch, or did I call the front? I don't remember, but
and if you see Dave Savini in the building, I think you've got to go to another hotel, right?
Explain who Dave Savini is for those who don't know.
He was I don't know if he still is. He was a Channel 5 NBC 5 reporter in Chicago, who is the first one I think who's been noted to have done the hotel inspection with the black light. He's the one who started the national trend of it.
Yeah, he went in to these hotel rooms, put the black light on them. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, the black light exposed everything you don't want to know that's in your hotel room. That's why I've talked about this over the years, where when you check in, you take some tongs and then you pull the spread back. You don't touch it. You just pull it all the way back, drop it on the floor, because you don't want to do that. Because people lie on that with their shoes and stuff, and they don't clean them that often. And,
isn't it funny? First thing we did, go to the top of the beds, check, pull back the mattress pad, and make sure that there are no bed bugs. No baggage touches anything until you do the checks these days.
What about the remote control for the TV? Was it exposed?
I just picked that up and used it. Yeah, no, I
just
used it.
You got to take the shower cap that they put in the bathroom and wrap that around the remote. You never touch the remote.
Cap. You don't. They didn't have a cover on the exhaust fan. They did not have a shower cap. Although, and damn it, man, you get inside our heads. And all of you who are listening and watching right now know this, that Garry just plants that weird little seed that you can't unthink.
And that's
and I was barefoot this morning. And
I
went, what the frick is wrong with me?
And Dave Savini would have found a seed of some sort on the bedspread. That's what he does. Oh my God. I hope you boiled yourself when you got home.
Oh, totally.
Oh, now, was the rate really cheap? Why did you pick this place?
Because it was within walking distance. That was the whole plan. And to be honest, that part worked out gloriously. Although I think we did something like 17,000 steps yesterday alone. Yeah. But it was really, it was fine. You know, for what we needed it for, it was fine. I didn't want, we didn't need a suite. We didn't need fancy schmancy. But to be honest, it was not cheap per se. It was, still
a little pricey. Don't call me Percy, but hey.
But it was cool. I'd do it again. I mean, it's one of those things like camping, where at some point you let it go. And when I get home, I'm going to take the longest shower ever. And I did. So I could be clean for you guys.
Okay. She is squeaky clean, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, brother. Okay. Now let's bring Ryan on, because Ryan, that's his territory. And I'm sure he's been to Summerfest.
Hello.
Many times.
And that's where Irish Fest was too. So we got to do the sky gliders, but they're not as entertaining as the ones at State Fair, because they go over roofs and you can see where people drop their shoes, their phones and stuff. So it still terrifies me to use the phone on those sky gliders. But yeah, that's always the fun there because you get a little more, stuff laying on the ground. So it's always fun. But glad you survived Summerfest. It's a good time.
When's the last time you were there, Ryan?
Probably 2019, but we were there in the grounds for Irish Fest. So, they just put a different skin on it. There's Polish Fest, Irish Fest, there's all kinds of Italian Festa Italiana. So it's the same thing. They just kind of changed the food. So we were there a couple of weeks ago to see Hank's girlfriend Irish dance. So that's when we went on the.
Okay. If you're new to the program, Hank is 5. And
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And he has a girlfriend. Usually we're
slightly
talking about
older, though.
Yes,
right?
she is.
The South, we're talking about that young, but this is in Wisconsin.
Yes.
And his girlfriend was Irish dancing. So doing that dance that Michael Flatley does, where your knees on a hinge.
Look at me, I'm dancing.
And I told him she wore a wig, and he didn't believe me until she got there and she took off the blonde, they think the curly hair, and she said, "Dad, you were right. She's wearing a wig." And I said, "Yeah."
Did that ruin the romance at all?
Well, I think it surprised him. That
5 years
You've all
old.
been there.
Yes, 5 years old. So.
And what are the parents of his girlfriend thinking about the relationship?
They've kind of been together since they both are in preschool, so they are kind of getting to become friends of the family. So we're starting it. And the other, speaking of Hank, the other kind of vortex is, I think you had a lotto story about someone who's going to make a motocross track in their backyard.
Right.
Well,
they won the lotto, and one of their things now is to put a motocross or motorcross, whatever you call it, in the backyard.
Right. So Henry has electric dirt bike, and we were talking about Christmas items, and he said he wants a 4-wheeler and he wants a motocross track in the backyard. So,
and will that happen?
No, we don't have a big enough backyard. We might go. My parents live down in Illinois. I don't have a big backyard for that, but he's all into that. So that's kind of funny that came up. So
yeah, all right. Not what I would do with my lottery winnings, but hey,
no.
And so, what is a Is it motocross or motorcross?
I don't really know.
Whatever it is, you're basically just
pushing dirt around,
right? And then you put a piece of plywood on a hill. That's a track.
Yeah, there's one down by my parents in Rockford that we always stop when we get off the interstate and watch them. And it's by a garbage dump or kind of there. And it's just dirt. I mean, it's dirty and it's loud, but you eat it all up.
Dirty and loud. That's the theme.
Yep. And I'm seeing a lot of.
Wasn't that a morning team?
Yeah, baby. Hey,
and I didn't take pictures, but I'm seeing lots of trash, like people emptying their whole house out on the curb, and it just spills all over. And I don't know why, if it's cleaning before winter, it's just all over up here.
I'm seeing that down in Louisiana because of Ida and all the stuff that was ruined. And I'm thinking all that stuff's going to go into a landfill.
Yeah.
We're doomed. That's why we drink on Friday. And here's another reason why we drink. While Leslie and Krista were enjoying Chris Stapleton and Sheryl Crow, I got caught in the 20th anniversary of 9/11 on cable because it's just loaded with these shows
everywhere.
And I told myself I wasn't going to watch, and suddenly I'm down in the rabbit hole. And I watched this show that I had not seen when it came out 15 years ago called United 93. And it's a replication of that flight. That's the one that went down in Pennsylvania. And okay, so now I'm spinning because I'm thinking of all the flights that were doomed that day, these people knew that the other planes had flown into buildings, so they kind of knew that they were doomed. And I'm thinking, if I'm on, it just made me shudder. And I really thought the only saving grace is I can drink on Friday to wipe some of this away. But that aside, when the Twin Tower, I have not seen the Twin Towers coming down in many years. The Twin Towers coming down was very War of the Worlds like, where the tripods are vaporizing people. And in the footage they have of 9/11, people are walking through that ash and they're covered in the ash and all that. And it seemed like War of the Worlds, the end of the world. And we're all just being vaporized at that point, at least in New York.
I mean, at some point we thought maybe we were.
Yeah.
I was in downtown Chicago at that time, and all of a sudden, anybody who worked in any building over 10 stories was getting the hell out of Dodge. I mean,
Yeah.
slowly but surely, the Hancock and the Sears Tower at that Willis Tower, whatever you
Yes,
want to
the
call it.
Hancock is a 100-story building in Chicago, and I used to live there. I lived on the 50th floor. I wasn't living there at 9/11 time, but I was in a high-rise that was next to another very tall building. The Aon building in Chicago looks like one of the Twin Towers. It has kind of the
Right.
same kind of
It's
architecture.
just that, yeah,
So
very.
now we're getting calls that night from friends. Do you want to stay with us out in the suburbs? Because they say those buildings are next. And it was just, as you can imagine, if you can think back, very witchy. And we had friends who lived on the 76th floor of the John Hancock building, and they moved out for 2 months because they thought, well, we're next. And it was just, as you can recall, just insane for those days that followed. Being on the air that day, you were on a morning show, and you got to tell this story because this says a lot about radio.
About how squirrely radio is.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a morning show on an oldie station with John Records Landecker. Rick Hempfer is our producer. Vince Argento is our technical director, and Richard Cantu is our newsman. And so we have just gotten a TV inside the studio. Brant Miller is our weather guy, and he's at NBC at this point. And he said, this doesn't seem like it's a prop plane. The first hit.
Right. So he's watching the monitors at NBC in Chicago and sees this. And you guys are playing Tommy James and the Shondells.
And Shondells and all that
okay.
stuff. And so we're supposed to be interviewing Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster.
Right.
And he's on the phone. And then the second plane hit. And Eddie Munster is like, I don't think I want to be.
Really? You don't want Eddie Munster to guide you through 9/11?
Maybe this isn't the best time. And in the meantime, we're now contacting the program director who says, don't break format.
This is perfect. This is really the essence of radio right there.
Now, obviously, all hell is breaking loose. Go back and play some I'm a Believer by the Monkees, or like you said, Tommy James and the Shondells. No. So we all kind of because we're committed to the cause, we're committed to our listeners, and we went, I'm sorry, they can fire us tomorrow, but there's no freaking way we are going to go back to playing oldies at this moment. And so we ended up doing the rest of the morning just trying to gather as much information as we could, like everybody else, and just be there because like you guys, we feel a connection, and you all you wanted to do was be around people that you loved, and hold your loved ones tight and that sort of thing.
That's the whole thing. If you were listening to an FM music station on 9/11, none of them could really break format. You did, but for the most part, they had to keep playing.
And we risked
Steely
it.
Dan.
I mean, we very well could have been fired the next day for what we did.
Really, that would have been totally stupid. But that's what radio stations do. They just lock down on, and some of them can't do anything because they're just programmed to play music. I was on a talk station and on an afternoon show, and they called us in at noon. We started at 2:00. But they called us in at noon, and we did 6 hours straight, no commercials, of just what was going on. And plus, Chicago having very tall buildings, there was a lot of misinformation going around that they were going to hit these tall buildings in Chicago. So it was a wiggy day, as you can imagine, on the air.
Yeah, I saw the best in people that day, though, in a weird way, as I was leaving downtown. So this is after our show. Our show ends at 9:00. We stuck around. Coworkers from sister stations were coming to our place. And then I decided I have to go home. I want to be with my husband. I want to be with my daughter. And leaving downtown Chicago that day was so interesting because it was like everybody was involved in a funeral procession. Nobody honked. No, everybody took turns, and they were observing speed limits and on the expressways. And I think, Gary, you pointed it out. I think we were all just kind of numb. I mean, yeah.
And that feeling of camaraderie that we're all one community lasted about 6 weeks? And then we went
'cause
right
I
back to
went
the
to the-
bullshit.
to the big prayer gathering in downtown Chicago in Daly Center Plaza. And I'm looking at the people around me. And, we were people of every walk of life, every color, ethnic origin, every religion. And we were all standing there. And I thought, oh my God, this is that moment. This is the defining time when we're all going to be
Right.
one.
This is going to last. No more bullshit. This is it. We're one as a country. And okay.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, producer Alan was actually on a plane on 9/11 or the night before.
Yeah, the night before.
You went into Los Angeles from Chicago the night before.
Yeah, I flew out of O'Hare and got into LA about midnight, 1 a.m. Chicago time. So what's that? 2 hours difference LA time. And I was on my way to a conference in Orange County, which is another 90-minute drive after you pick up the rental car. So I got to my room at 2-3 a.m. Chicago time and passed out and turned on Good Morning America at 6 a.m. LA time, so 9 a.m. out east, and saw the mayhem in progress.
And you had a meeting scheduled that morning.
I was out there for a court-ordered settlement conference, and we actually had the court-ordered settlement conference. The towers had fallen hours beforehand, and I confirmed with the office in, I think it was Irvine or Newport Beach, something like that, down in Orange County, California, that we were going to go forward, and we in fact did go forward. And somebody had one of those little 2.5-inch TVs, and we watched from time to time what was going on.
How did you concentrate on the business at hand when all hell's breaking loose?
Well, without divulging too much about a case, I can tell you that the settlement conference was going to be a waste of time before 9/11, and it turned out to be an even bigger waste of time because
that was his opening statement. This is a total waste of time. And what's happening in New York proves it's a waste of time. I rest my case.
In the end, it was a case that I had to argue before an appellate court on a subsequent trip to California. But it was a case that we won, and the plaintiff was unreasonable. So that's the nature of litigation. It was a case that I worked on for 8 or 9 years, and this was one of the many blips in the middle of it.
Wow. And you flew back 3 days later. I thought the airports were closed for about 4 days, but you said you flew back on the 14th.
I came back on the 14th. LAX had opened that day. I had first had flights scheduled on the 11th because that was the day I was actually supposed to come home after the settlement conference. Then I was supposed to come home on the 12th, and then I was supposed to come home on the 13th. And on the 14th, they were flying again. I was originally supposed to fly home from Orange County rather than LA, which, a shorter drive from where I was staying. They weren't sure if they were going to start flying out of Orange County that day, but there were definitely flights out of LA. So I drove up to LA, and everybody had kept saying, get to the airport early, get to the airport early. And of course, this is before TSA. They're upping the security to unbelievable levels. So I got to LAX 4 or 5 hours before my flight, and breezed through security faster than probably any time that year before or after. I was at the gate at LAX for 4 or 5 hours. There were a lot of cops. There was a lot of National Guard. National Guard had blocked off LAX. You couldn't come up to the gates at LAX in a private car. I was on a shuttle bus from the rental car company, and they were allowed to pass. But there were armed National Guard on the ramps at LAX, and we. You often talk about male pilots turning and gunning it.
Yeah.
That flight was the most unique flight I'd ever been on the 14th, because not only was everybody super, super polite, and it was lots of business people like myself who were out of position, and a lot of United employees who were out of position, but from the moment that they removed the pushback vehicle after we pushed back from the gate, we didn't stop again. I mean, we went down the tarmac. We gunned every corner at the airport, and we took off. And we didn't stop. I mean, we literally did not stop again until we got to the gate at O'Hare. I mean, there were no stopping anywhere. And in my mind, I remember so clearly all the other planes parked, wingtip to wingtip at LAX and wingtip to wingtip at O'Hare, because those big airports are where they stored a lot of those planes. In fact, on the flight from LA to Chicago, if people have taken that route, if you look out the window about 35 to 45 minutes after takeoff from LAX, you'll see Las Vegas International down there. McCarran is right in view. And we flew right over McCarran on the way to Chicago. And McCarran was one of the airports where they landed an enormous number of flights. In fact, my uncle, who may be watching, he's my uncle in Hawaii who tunes in from time to time. My uncle was actually on a flight on 9/11, and his flight was diverted to LAX, where the hotels managed to gouge all the people who ended up in LAX by charging them astronomical rates.
Oh, that's
but
nice.
yeah, I flew right over LAX and saw all those planes on the ground at LAX. McCarran, Las Vegas.
Yeah, they got all those
Chicago.
planes down very quickly. It was an amazing feat when you think about it. And that's what that movie United 93 focused on, the control centers, when they realized what was happening, getting all the planes back on the ground. Because now with 4 or 5 that were going rogue, they had to get everybody down. And I remember the National Guard lingered at the airports for several weeks after. I like the National Guard at the airport. Call me crazy ass country, third world, whatever. I like seeing National Guard. It makes me feel better.
Your tax dollars at work, right?
Yes. If somebody doesn't halt and they just shoot them in the back, hey, halt when they say halt.
In the mid 1980s.
Yeah, they're on our side.
In the mid 1980s, we took a family trip to Spain. And in Spain, they had armed military members at the X-ray machines. And I remember my dad had bought a nice light camcorder. The camcorder was 2 pounds, but you had to carry the 50-pound pack, a battery and the recorder. And we wanted them to hand inspect it rather than run it through. And the guy's pointing to the X-ray machine and saying in Spanish, "En la máquina, en la máquina." And since he's holding a submachine gun of some sort, we're like, okay.
Yeah,
put it in the machine.
I like big weaponry at the airport, but that's me. I'm all about law and order. Is that wrong? Okay. Well, after 9/11, I don't think we were worried about too much law and order at that point.
But I mean, the airports stayed fairly empty. I ended up doing an enormous amount of business travel. I think I was supposed to be on another flight a week or two after I got back to Chicago. I think we postponed that about a month, and I ended up doing a day trip to Denver for business about a month later. But I did an enormous amount of flying in October, November, and December of 2001 and early 2002, all domestic, all for business, and those flights were largely empty. I mean, it was the easiest time to fly in terms of the airports. And by 2005 or 6, that's when the airlines started getting real crowded and unpleasant again.
Yeah, well, and they started charging for luggage and everything else because they said, well, our margins are razor thin. We need to make some money. And they used 9/11 in a lot of cases as a smokescreen, which was wrong.
Gary says he likes weapons at the airport, which is why he always does shots.
Okay. Yes, I do. Oh God! Don't listen to me. Here's what's left of my drink. It's late. I should have been doing this hours ago.
Well, and we thought we were going to have David Hochberg on today, but
yes. And then when he said I'm not feeling well, and you know what happens when we don't have a guest, we don't mind our manners.
No, we absolutely get loose. We get a little loose.
That's
do we want to do a batch? Do we want to thank our sponsors?
Yes.
First?
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay homage to the fine sponsors, Wisconsin Report, and then batch it. Here we go with the fine Bettenhausen Automotive people.
Get a man-made muscle masterpiece at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and certified Megastore in Tinley Park and Orland Park. Get 0% for 72 months on a new 2021 Dodge Charger or Challenger. Bettenhausen has hundreds of vehicles to choose from. Your best Dodge buying experience starts now at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
Yes, it does. Huh. And as I mentioned, if you need a mortgage or a refi and all the stuff associated with getting a house, this is the guy. I'm telling you, I have a bromance with him, and I'm proud to admit it. I don't care. I love this man. Yes, because he's so good at what he does, and it gives me chill bumps when I think about just refining.
And for those listening on the audio, Gary's talking about David Hochberg.
Okay. Yeah.
For those who don't see the pictures,
all right,
David Hochberg.
Listen, I'm secure in my manhood. I don't care. I love this man. He's the guy to call for all that stuff. All right. Ryan, we're going to talk about what you put together for the Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was kind of a
report.
little different. It really wasn't stories. It was kind of strange pictures I came up this week, and you'll see them. And there's one I want to talk about that I've never seen kind of the setup. So it was kind of picture. It was a little shorter segment, but pictures.
All right. And we're going to have a picture that concerns a story that Leslie talked about this past week. And let's run the Wisconsin report with Ryan.
It's Wisconsin, yeah, hey.
Hey, it's Friday, and this is Ryan from Wisconsin. I have a few updates this week, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit different and just show some pictures of fun things I found when I was out and about. First of all, here's a picture from the Costco parking lot of a minivan I parked next to. It looks like it has a dryer vent wired to the front set of the air conditioner vents that come out. It goes over the seat and ends up into a T right above the baby carrier in the back. I guess this is how you get priority air conditioning to the baby. The pictures are hard to see, but it was a pretty ingenious setup, so maybe their father worked in the cooling or HVAC industry. Pretty strange. I wish I would have got a better picture, but this is something you don't see very often. Secondly, we ended up going to an old school amusement park over near Madison, Wisconsin. The ride right here in this picture is called the Toboggan. The website for this amusement park boasts that there's only 3 left in the world. I ended up not going on this one, but my son Hank and my wife Jamie went on this many times. It was kind of rough landing when you come down over that last bump, but we had fun. If any of you remember Santa's Village in the Chicago area, many of the rides that you may have seen at Santa's Village were ended up at this place called Little America near Madison, Wisconsin. Finally, the pandemic looks like it did in Hooters. The local Hooters here you can see in the picture has a tarp that's flapping right above the sign. I think they had the sign covered so you knew Hooters was closed, but when I drove by, you could see the name and the tarp was flapping. As I got closer, I saw the neon light inside that says Hooters still illuminated. So maybe there's hope that this restaurant will come back. Have a good weekend and I'll talk to you soon.
Wow, Hooters flap.
Yeah, they had it all buttoned up, and then the tarp came loose. And then I just couldn't figure out that Costco setup there with the air conditioner over the baby.
Yeah, that was interesting. The dryer vent going into the back seat.
Yeah, and then it had a T, and it came right down over the baby seat. So as I thought, maybe it's priority air conditioning.
I'm going to get some air to the baby. Yeah. Catherine loves the Wisconsin report. We all do. I mean,
who
God.
doesn't? I mean, you're crazy if you don't.
In that old school Little America, there it is. It's an old school amusement park with rides from the 60s, 70s, 80s. I think that one was right in Santa's Village. So
yeah, that ride you showed looks like it's from Chernobyl.
Yeah, to me. You go straight up with the cart like that, and then it goes around and around, and then there's one pretty nasty bump at the end, and you're done.
Yeah, hey, there it is.
So I was a
Ryan.
little concerned that Hooters is gone, but maybe something else will come.
Boy, it's bad when Hooters can't stay in business. Wow.
So it was a good week.
So with that,
thank you, Ryan.
And so maybe the Chinese are onto something. When it comes to entertainment, the government of China says it's time to man up. They're calling for a crackdown on so-called sissy idols and effeminate men. It's part of an 8-point plan announced this week aimed at curbing influences in the media that communist leaders say are quote unquote severely polluting the social atmosphere. In addition to the guidelines for male performers, the plan institutes new beauty standards and calls for a boycott of internet celebrities that they deem vulgar.
Okay. Yeah. All right. China, Wuhan, virus to go, Wuhan. That's all we need to know about China.
Exactly.
I mean, really. When you protest that much about something, that tells me something about the people protesting. What are you trying to hide? I mean, if you're that upset by sissy boys or whatever you call them, what's wrong?
Maybe you guys need to just hang out at a Hooters for a while and have fun.
Yeah,
But
chill. Go on that ride that Ryan showed, that weird ride.
and if you like sissy boys, then damn it, embrace your sissy
You need
boys.
sissy boys to brighten up that town, that crazy town in China.
Damn straight. We hear a lot of science stories on these shows, but some studies do get biased. So let's look at this year's Ig Nobel prizes in science, presented by the science humor magazine called Annals of Improbable Research. And among these winners this year, okay, so mind you, these are actual science projects underway. The economics prize goes to a guy named Pavlo Blavatsky for discovering that the obesity of a country's politicians appears to be a good indicator of that country's corruption.
So if the politicians are fat, it's more corrupt.
They really are like fat cats. There is science behind the concept of a fat cat. The ecology prize goes to a woman named Layla Satari and her colleagues who studied the various bacteria found on discarded chewing gum on sidewalks in countries around the world. So different gum on different streets has different stuff growing on it. And if you're a fan of Elf, you're not supposed to chew it anyway.
Yeah. That scene in that movie. I'm assuming that was stunt gum.
We can only hope. Otherwise, it's method acting, like the likes of which we've never seen before. The medicine prize was awarded to Olke Kem Bulut, who discovered that orgasms can be as effective as over-the-counter decongestants for clearing nasal passages.
That's a great line. Hey, honey, are you congested? Let me help you out.
I have a cure.
I got a cure. I'm just doing it for you.
This is actual science, you guys.
Yeah, let me open your sinuses.
There were also studies about how to eradicate cockroaches on submarines, how humans and cats communicate, how humans and dogs probably communicate.
Flynn agrees.
Flynn
agrees.
They also studied how pedestrians avoid crashing into each other. Like when you're in a crowd, it is weird that people don't smash into each other more often.
Right.
And then there was this person who won like the Super Ig Nobel prize, and it's Robin Radcliffe, who determined that the best way to airlift a rhinoceros is to hang them by their feet.
Okay. Wow.
And that's
good prizes. Nice. And you had a story this past week about this guy in Japan that was stealing panties and bras from laundromats. And we joked about, what are they going to do with a display of this stuff? Is it going to be a drug buffet? And it is.
Oh my God. So we love the drug buffets. We love the confiscated weapons buffets.
Yes. And it looks like it's about half and half bras and camisoles and other things. What a nice display, though.
And we question whether they would be color-coded, whether they would pair bras with panties. And it looks like somebody from the department went,
yeah. Did they have the women who felt that they were victimized come and get their stuff? Alan, put that up again, please. Let's take another look at that. Take a look. Yeah. Yeah.
So we put the bras in this corner for the most part, unless we could pair those bras with a camisole.
Right.
And then we do like color coding.
Imagine the person who did this. Yeah. And that is a massive display. This is one guy who was doing this. All right.
I think it was something like 730 garments that he had been stealing from laundromats.
Yes, he was busy. All right. Is that it?
Do you want one more?
One more.
Well, before you do the one more, Ryan reminded me he's got something to give away. Why don't we do that?
Oh, yes. We are giving away things.
Oh, we love the giveaway.
Let's do the giveaway, and we're going to spin the wheel here. How does this work, Ryan?
I've got some wine condoms, just like Leslie. These are a little different. So these are the Pinot Noir protector. So it's got dirty sayings on the side, and
nice.
It's a little like Leslie had, but a little different. So
okay. So wait, we have to give you some time to join the giveaway. So
gotta
Yeah,
what's
we'll
today's
this.
hashtag?
We'll have to do a hashtag. Let's see what I've got queued up from last week to make it easy on myself. We've got, let's comment GarrForce, hashtag GarrForce.
Okay.
Go ahead and put that in the comments, folks, and we'll put that into the computer.
Yeah,
and
if you want to win
can
the wine condom, that's what you got to do, and then the computer decides who wins.
So you got to type
GarrForce.
Got to type
right
it
now.
exact. Got to type it exact. We'll give you a little bit of time to do it.
Yes.
No
Sorry,
spaces.
we didn't give you guys more time, but
Yeah, you can, no spaces, but you can put spaces before and after the hashtag GarrForce. You can put it in a sentence. You can do all sorts of things, but it has to be hashtag GarrForce because that's all the computer will pick from when we do the drawing.
Yeah, and people are doing that now. Yeah, if you want to win the wine condoms, do that right now while Leslie does this story, and then we'll pick.
oh God. And seriously, there's nothing better than being able to pop your wine condom at the beginning of your drinking session.
Yes.
Trust me, I know. I'm a professional. So let's see. There was this investigation recently into a power outage that took out a large portion of New York City's subway system. And it finds that the likely cause was someone hitting the emergency power off button by accident. Turns out that there is a very critical switch that's supposed to be covered by a plastic guard, which in this case, they found out the guard was missing. It either got broken off or someone took it off, but now efforts are underway to prevent any repeats.
Yeah. See, this is it goes back to 9/11. You need better security. The cockpit doors were made out of rice paper.
The what?
Cockpit doors. What did I say?
I think you said cockpit, but that's okay.
Oh my God. China would ban me just for saying that. See, we're into the latter stages of the show. We're getting ready to land here, and that'll happen. The cockpit doors were made out of rice paper, and that's what the problem was, and now they're better. Okay. All right.
And you were the man who understood that there was like a secret knock, right?
Yes, and everybody knew it. It was doot, 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 doot. And by sitting there after a few flights, you knew the secret knock. So they had to fix all that. All right.
Along with
And folks can keep commenting. We've got 17 entries so far. So go ahead and keep commenting.
All right. How many do you want?
So let's do one more story then,
Do
just to give everybody a chance to keep hashtag GarrForce.
Okay.
A family in the UK decided to auction off a small porcelain bowl that they found among the possessions of a family member, or actually a pair of family members who had recently passed. The heirs were hoping to get a couple of $100s for this thing. I'm sorry, we're talking British. So while they ride lifts, they were also hoping to get a couple of £100 for it. Thank goodness for an appraiser who realized that this wasn't any ordinary chip dish. Turns out that the item in question was actually a rare 900-year-old Chinese relic worth about 100 times what the family thought they would settle for. The 5-inch tall sensor bowl actually sold for 320 pounds, or around $440,000. The sellers are said to be very happy with the way things turned out.
Yeah, I would be too, because we talked about collectibles this past week, and a lot of this stuff, but that's nice. A crappy bowl, $400,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they paid how much for it, or had it in their stuff?
It was in a sideboard of some relatives' break from, they had their china in there. They had this funky little bowl. They thought, let's sell the bowl. And yeah.
All right. All right. Let's
So we're
give
gonna do the
away.
giveaway?
Let's give away some condoms. Wine
Let me
condoms.
let's bring up the giveaway screen. Let's see. We bring this button here, and that button there, and this button over here, and that button over there. It's a lot of clicks here. There we go. There's the screen. We've got 21 entries.
Wow.
Let's
All right.
see. Let's
Here we
see
go.
who wins the giveaway.
There it goes.
I saw my brother's picture go by.
Yeah.
He's not eligible. Okay.
Everybody's eligible.
Yes.
There's the winner.
Oh, he won last week.
So are we going to say we can't win
Wait.
again?
Yeah, you can't
So
win
if
Scott
we can't
won
win
last week. We
right.
got to go again.
We
All
gotta
right,
go
so
again.
there's a go again button here somewhere. There's the go
Scott's
again
lucky.
button.
Scott's lucky.
All right, let's see what
Play
happens.
the lottery,
again.
Scott.
Love you, Scott, but
Okay,
yeah,
let's go
give
again.
everybody else a chance.
Julie?
I thought I was going to win.
Is it Julie?
There we go, Debbie.
Debbie. Oh, wow. Julie's thinking, wait a minute.
So Debbie, watch your inbox for a message from Ryan. If that doesn't happen, I'll message you from Gary's account.
All right.
Congratulations, Debbie.
All right.
And if you have any problems, text the show, and yeah, one way or the other, we'll connect.
We'll get it out.
You will get the wine condoms. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. Time for the complimentary cannoli coming down the aisle. Take the cannoli. Yeah, that's nice. What about the schnauzer, Leslie?
Like us, keep it up late.
Keep it up late? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Late night with the schnauzer on a Friday. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. It is 3 in the green. Gear down, flaps are down. The voice of the globe, the GarrForce, has landed.
If you like that, I got other stuff I think you're going to like. This is the GarrForce